I have to probably say that I have major Masonic roots. I have never been part of a Masonic lodge. I've never taken Masonic oaths or rituals. A lot of my family, because Texas was pretty much Masonic through and through, was Masonic, high-level Masonic. And they were very, very good people. George Washington was a Mason. And yes, undoubtedly, my family on both sides on the Mayflower, hardcore Protestants, you could say Rosicrucians. This country was founded by real Rosicrucians, not the Rosicrucians you see out there today. And so, undoubtedly, if you want to say it, I mean, I would say I come out of a classical Enlightenment family of what you would call real Illuminati, real Enlightenment. And I'll just say it here. When everybody asks me who I am, I'll tell you.
All will be revealed.
Okay, this video is going to be short and sweet, even though it's a huge topic. I just need to get a few points across pertaining to Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism, and I can't think of a better segue than using Alex Jones as a prime example. So a little over a year ago, Alex Jones admits on air that his family lineage extends all the way back to the Rosicrucians. And he also admits that he tends to side with the ideology of Freemasonry, naming George Washington as a benevolent example. Well, the original Rosicrucians and Freemasons weren't as benevolent as you may think, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first, about Freemasonry. Why even bother studying it? The reason why it's important in the grand scheme of things is because it's the precursor to all modern secret orders. And I can't emphasize that anymore. I don't think a lot of people understand this. Again, it is the originator of all secret orders, and this can be proven. Here, this is coming straight from a respected source, the Cyclopedia of Fraternities, published in the year 1899. It states, "The Masonic fraternity is directly or indirectly the parent organization of all modern secret societies, good, bad, and indifferent. That's why it's important. We're talking about everything from Skull and Bones, co-founded by Freemason Alfonso Taft, to Mormonism, founded by Freemason Joseph Smith, to Odd Fellowship, to college fraternities, to Ordo Templi Orientis, to the Alliance Israelite Universal, founded by Jewish Freemason Adolphe Cremot, to B'nai B'rith, which was founded by a group of 12 Freemasons. All modern secret orders have Masonic roots. Most of the Rothschilds were Freemasons, extending all the way back to Nathan and James Rothschild of the 18th century. So needless to say, the study of Freemasonry is extremely important in understanding our modern situation. Now, why is it important to discuss a mysterious group like the Rosicrucians, which developed some 500 years ago? Well, for one, the original Rosicrucians, we're talking about Sir Francis Bacon, Johann Valentin Andreas, Dr. John Dee. These were the men who developed modern Freemasonry. In the early 17th century, 3 Rosicrucian manifestos appeared in Europe pronouncing the existence of the Brotherhood of the Rose and Cross. These manifestos were extremely antagonistic to the Catholic Church and Islam. The author of 2 of the 3 manifestos is attributed to the German theologian Johann Valentin Andreas. It is with Andrea that we can observe the true belief system underlying Rosicrucianism. At its most basic level, Rosicrucianism is the fusion of esoteric elements into Christianity. We're talking about Kabbalah, Gnosticism, alchemy, and magic. And alchemy is more than simply turning base metals into gold. The true meaning behind alchemy is human alchemy, or the restructuring of the minds of humanity into a certain belief system. In the year 1619, Andrea wrote Christianopolis, a utopian novel that had a great impact on Sir Francis Bacon. Author Robert Applebaum did by far the best expose on the novel in his book Literature and Utopian Politics in 17th Century England. On Andrea's Christianopolis, he wrote, Take a look at what, in Andrea's mind, his utopian republic actually looks like. Or rather, examine the city's double-sided look. At the center of the city stands a towering temple of learning and religion, which also houses the city's government. The tower occupies what might be called a position of oversight. From here, the leaders of the town literally oversee the behavior of the citizens. The fact that life in utopias like Andrea's is overly controlled and oppressively regulated is a common complaint. Although Andrea imagines the inhabitants of his city would lead a generally liberal existence, he has placed them in an environment where the rule of freedom is inescapable. Everywhere one goes, one sees the order of the city ordering one's life, and everywhere one goes, one is also aware of being seen. Life in Christianopolis is a monitored life, an oppressively self-monitored system. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? This is incredibly ironic. According to people like Alex Jones, the Rosicrucians were supposed to be freedom fighters, battling alongside the Protestants, fighting the oppressors within the Catholic Church. But here we see Johann Andrea, an original Rosicrucian, setting up an oppressive governmental system himself. The Rosicrucians and Freemasons from the start have been involved in a mass human alchemical process of reshaping humanity. Don't believe it? Let's read from a Rosicrucian himself. Rosicrucian initiate Max Heindel wrote the book Freemasonry and Catholicism. In part 1, entitled Lucifer, the Rebel Angel, Heindel confesses, "The strife must continue until the battle for the souls of men has been lost and won. The issue is not, however, the persistence of the Masonic or Catholic institutions, but the outcome will determine the nature of the training humanity will receive in the remaining periods." You see, the real secret of the secret societies is the art of control, and the ancient phrase for secrecy or confidentiality is sub rosa, or under the rose. And the relationship between the rose and secrecy extends all the way back to the ancient Greeks. Harpocrates, whose symbol was the rose, was also the god of silence and secrecy. Statues of Harpocrates, which are shown with the index finger placed over his lips, were placed by the ancient Greeks in areas where they practiced the ancient mysteries. So when Alex Jones snuck in, quote unquote, to the Bohemian Grove, he was actually entering an area where the ancient mysteries were and still are practiced. And we'll get into what the ancient mysteries were and why secret societies are attracted to their practice as we go along in this series. But as you enter the grove, a statue of St. John of Nepomuk is placed directly in front to signal to members not only to keep their mouths shut, but to let them know that they are about to take part in the mysteries. And no, the 40-foot owl does not represent Moloch as Alex Jones preaches. It represents knowledge and wisdom. For those in power narcissistically believe that they know the proper direction for the rest of us. Before the owl was erected in the grove, there stood an even larger monument representing knowledge and wisdom, a 70-foot statue of Buddha. The practice of the ancient mysteries at the Bohemian Grove derives from Freemasonry. For Freemasons such as Albert Pike and J.D. Buck admit that Freemasonry is just an extension of the ancient mysteries. So what are the ancient mysteries? From author Arkan Darol, initiation ceremonies of secret cults of the mystery type invariably involve tests, sometimes most severe ones. The effect of certain experiences was a carefully worked program of mind training, which is familiar in modern times as that which is employed by certain totalitarian states to condition or reshape the thinking of an individual. This process produces a state in which the mind is pliant enough to have certain ideas implanted, ideas which resist a great deal of counter-influence. This was the secret of the mysteries, this and nothing else. And this was the essence of Alex Jones' benevolent Rosicrucianism.
There's no secret society. There's no secret messages. There's no secret handshakes.
All will be revealed.